Yo, what's up, people? It's your boy, I'm Chris the Dom One, and I am back with another video. The Cleveland Cavaliers lost to the Golden State Warriors, and it seems like everyone has a small case of amnesia because everyone seems to focus on the last couple of minutes in the fourth quarter on two situations. J.R. Smith boneheaded play and a call that was overturned on LeBron James. And it seems like everyone is focusing on those two occasions on why the Cleveland Cavaliers lost to the Golden State Warriors. Even though they tied it up and they went into overtime, the Cleveland Cavaliers had opportunities even in overtime to beat the Golden State Warriors. But that's besides the point. Let's talk about the first 40 minutes of the game where neither team was dominating one another in either quarter, where there was opportunities that were squandered away by both teams to put the nail in the coffin, so to say, to get the W. The Cleveland Cavaliers had numerous opportunities to simply beat the Golden State Warriors without that, without even going into overtime, and vice versa. A lot of people will say, the Cleveland Cavaliers, if it wasn't for LeBron James' 50 points, they would have been blown out the gym, which I can agree with that analogy. But on the flip side, if you take away all the accomplishments that the other players did and contribute for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and you only just worry about the 50 points by LeBron James would have been blown out by the Golden State Warriors. Kevin Love was flirting almost on a double-double. And this is the same player that was coming out of concussion protocol. A lot of people felt like Kevin Love was not going to be in game one of the finals. Okay? Christian Thompson contribute. Rodney Hood contribute, even though he missed a free throw at the end of the fourth quarter, but that's neither here nor there. So everyone was contributing, and if you're a basketball historian, that you have to look at this and say, wow, even with LeBron James scoring 50 points, the other members of the team are contributing in other aspects. So for the other members of the Cleveland Cavaliers to contribute as well as LeBron James, that's a huge plus. It wasn't only just LeBron James. It was the other members of the Cleveland Cavaliers, okay? Now, people tend to focus on 50. But if you peel back the layers of that 50, the majority of his points were ISO plays. It wasn't the fact that LeBron James played it wasn't the fact that LeBron James was playing and didn't have to have the ball. LeBron James dominated the ball much of that time, okay? Because LeBron James, let's face it, he's an ISO player. He's not like Kevin Durant. He can't play off the ball, okay? So you have to look at that 50 points and say to yourself, well, he should have 50 points because the majority of the plays, the majority of the time, when LeBron James was scoring was ISO plays, okay? That's not taken away from LeBron James, all right? Now, a lot of people are going to have this narrative of, damn, LeBron James, they stole one from LeBron James. They stole one from the Cleveland Cavaliers. LeBron James had to compete with not only the Golden State Warriors, but the refs as well. And to that I say this, that first 40 minutes of that game, it was anybody's ball game. Nobody was dominating, and there was the only time where you can say without a shadow of a doubt that the Golden State Warriors just simply took over was in overtime. Now, it could be one or two things in overtime why the Cleveland Cavaliers just didn't have it in overtime. They were tired, and they was probably mentally thinking about J.R. Smith, that bonehead play he did, as well as LeBron James is probably thinking, man, they overturned that call, and if they didn't overturn that call, we could have won the game right then and there. But I remember a wise man like LeBron James. I remember him quoting this. We're not in the NCAA. We don't just play one game. We play multiple games. And if you're a championship caliber team, you're going to, bounce back from this game and give it your all in the second game. Now, if they can be very competitive with the Golden State Warriors by LeBron James continuing to play ISO ball and scoring 40 and 50 points, that's not going to be good enough. I feel like the Cleveland Cavaliers need to switch it up a little bit. I think LeBron James, he always, make it known that, he's a facilitator. And I think LeBron James should get the other guys active and moving in the first quarter. And that will do two things. One, he doesn't have to utilize a lot of energy. And two, he can rest up in the first quarter, and then he can dominate in the second quarter. And possibly before they go into halftime, they can have a lead. Okay? I feel like, that was the best opportunity for the Cleveland Cavaliers to beat the Golden State Warriors. I think the Golden State Warriors know the game plan on how LeBron James is going to approach game two. Iguodala, he's been out. A lot of people feel like there's a possibility he's going to be playing in this series. And I feel like the Cleveland Cavaliers shouldn't be squandering and wasting opportunities. If the Golden State Warriors beat them again, game two, then I just think that's too much for the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're going to still think about game one, and they're going to constantly think about the opportunity that they could have closed and won that game. And if the Golden State Warriors beat them in game two, now that's going to put even more doubt and even more pressure. And then you're going to see players such as J.R. Smith, Rodney Hood, Jordan Clarkson, a lot of and Jordan Clarkson, as well as these other young cats who are very inexperienced in these occasions. They're going to gravitate on previous history. They're going to say to themselves, okay, look, they beat us in game one when we could have won that game. They blew us out in game two. So game three, this is going to be a do or die situation. Now, the Cleveland Cavaliers have not been in that situation since the Indiana Pacers, and it took them almost the whole entire series to bounce back. The difference between the Golden State Warriors and the Indiana Pacers is when they see blood in the water, the Golden State Warriors, they are going to chomp and attack it. Okay? They're not like the Indiana Pacers. The Golden State Warriors have three guys that are capable of scoring 30 points at any given time. Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and Klay Thompson. Now, game one, Kevin Durant wasn't the Kevin Durant from the last finals. And I think he's going to have a bounce back game in game two. Steph Curry was sort of quiet, even though he had I believe he had 26, 28 points. And that's due to the fact that Steph Curry is not fully healed. But another day and more rest, as well as he has a chip on his shoulder to prove to LeBron James. I think one of these players are going to have an amazing performance in game two. And I feel like game two is the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to look at this and go, wow. In order for us to beat them in game three, we got to have the same performance we had in game 1 where LeBron James scores 50 points. I don't think LeBron James is going to score 50 points. LeBron James is probably going to be in the 30s, you know, and he's going to like pace himself, prepare himself for game 3. But if they go down 0-2, LeBron James has history with the Golden State Warriors where he's just going to just call the series a day and just worry about getting his, you know, so that way people won't say it was all LeBron James' fault. He's going to pad those stats. He's just going to do his 30, 10, 10, and 10, and 10. I think it's going to be easier said than done with the Golden State Warriors because he doesn't have Kyrie Irving to contribute. But if you look at the promise and the opportunities at game 1, if Kevin Love you know, gets a double-double, if Christian Thompson can come off the bench and contribute somehow, some way, the same could be if Rodney Hood can get like 6 to 10 points, if J.R. Smith can get 6 to 10 points, as well as LeBron James scoring another 50 points, which I don't think LeBron James is going to have it for game 2. You know, I think that's the only game plan that they can beat the Golden State Warriors with, other than the Golden State Warriors was in a shooting slump. Okay, if the Golden State Warriors go 0-for-20 on the 3-point line, then that's an easy win for the Cleveland Cavaliers if they can capitalize off their misses. Okay, so that's the only 2 ways I can see the Cleveland Cavaliers beating this series, winning this series, is by LeBron James going 50 again and getting a lot more from the other members of the Cleveland Cavaliers that you wouldn't expect, or the Golden State Warriors are in a shooting slump. That's the only 2 ways. They can't beat the Golden State Warriors a skill versus skill. Okay, so but anyway, guys, tell me what you think. Rate, comment, subscribe. It's your boy. I'm Chris the Dom 1, and I am out. Deuces.